Trying to see if I'm actually up and on live. Welcome. My name's Corrie Thorne. Just waiting for confirmation of where I am and if I'm up on both. I had a big glitch the other night, so if you're watching the YouTube version, it went for like 7 hours. I really wasn't on live for 7 hours. It was a big glitch, and the system didn't stop recording for some reason. So let's see what today does for us. If I'm anywhere. Just waiting. Okay. It says I'm here. All right. So it says I'm on live. So let's hope for the best today instead of having a video run over and not be able to close it out. I couldn't close out the last time I was on live, I couldn't close out the live. And so there's all kinds of glitches on YouTube. It looks like it's like a 7 hour long video. It didn't cut out on Facebook. I had to go in and try to manually do it. So here we are trying this again, doing a new live, a new broadcast, and still through my broadcasting system. So I'm on Facebook, YouTube at the same time. I can even do LinkedIn as well now. So I'm going to start adding LinkedIn in there as well. Hello, Christy. Hi. Nice to see you. So I do know I'm on Facebook. And hi, Christine. I'll just try and see if I'm on YouTube too. Just looking. Just waiting. Oh, and Lorene is there. Hello, hello. So I just wanted to stop in today quickly. I'm getting ready to actually leave to go get my granddaughter, pick her up from daycare early. I just finished working. So my job's to pick her up today. So I'm going to go pick her up. And I just want to stop in for the new moon energy. If you were not in my healing circle last night, I did do a live healing circle, a live interactive healing circle and channeled collective reading for everyone. And if you're wondering what healing circles are, if you've never heard of them, it is guided meditations where I step into becoming allowing the healing energy to send forth, to travel any healing through us that we need, any, anything that we are seeking and searching to release, let go of, but also to be able to clear the way for the new moon, to clear the way to set, clear intentions, to get clear with ourselves so that we can have clarity. So healing circles are sacred. They're special. They're something that I do that I used to do a lot of, and I stepped away from it and I've stepped back into them. So if you see those advertisements, when you see those advertisements, you're like, oh, I don't even know what that is. It's really good for you. And it gives you a chance to really step into you and to be a part of a guided meditation to start getting more and more of a meditation practice going in your world. Just saying. Okay. So I wanted to just come in and quickly do a little spread, a 3-card reading for the new moon. Today is new moon energy. It is in Scorpio, lots of water energy. We have a lot of the Christ-like energy that's flowing in. If you're working spirituality, you might understand this to be, a crystal energy or a diamond energy, the Christ-like diamond-like. Hence the diamond in my more than existing. It's about that come together, come into oneness with self. Um, or it is like the white flames. So the white flames of that energy that helps us heal. So this is a powerful new moon, and we're about to go into the eclipse season and all of that shifts and changes that come with eclipse, so that help us burn away the old, to let go of the old before we head into a new year. But I have I want to just give some guidance for this new moon for you. So what I'm doing while you're wondering why I'm waiting is I'm feeling out the energy. I'm asking. So I am a channel. So I'm asking for the divine to give me the messages. What is of the highest good? What it is that we need to know most right now. I did post every zodiac sign for the month of November. Everyone every one of my channeled readings for every zodiac sign for the energy is posted on YouTube. They're all there. Also, a monthly channeled message is up. So, whatever sign you are, go to my YouTube, go check out the video. It may resonate with you. If you're cross watching, if you have like your rising or your moon sign is in another sign, then go listen to that as well, because that may resonate with you. Hello, Valerie. I know I haven't been around much in the daytimes. Well, I haven't been on a whole lot of lives. I've been doing other things, teaching, writing, trying to get my books ready, just so many things. So this is for the new moon energy and our clearest of intentions. So I asked for 3 cards and the underlaying. So the underlaying is the performer, and with that performer energy is coming up that sense of all of the, the act, the character we play and who we think we need to be in our lives. And the card that comes out in our past position is the unseen wound, Thekla, and it is in reverse. It's in attitude, and it's an 8. It's an eternal. It's the infinity, right? What continues, what we feed into persists in our lives. What we keep holding on to persists. Every time we say, oh, I don't want that to be my outcome, I don't want that to happen, I don't want that to be my life, but you keep repeating the story, you keep staying in the story, you keep reliving and reacting and redoing again and again and again. Well, it's never going to change. Life only change when we make a change, when we make a choice to change ourselves, to do the work about us, to take that ownership and responsibility. And so Thekla and the unseen wound is when you're looking at her, you can see the swords are actually covered in roses. So the blades are softened. So she softened her, her language of how she speaks to herself. And she's looking into the most powerful thing that we can do for ourselves is to speak to ourselves the same way we would speak to children. If you wouldn't speak to a child in an unkind way, why do you speak to yourself in such an unkind way? Why do we allow ourselves to be that? And so this little childlike energy is also dressed in gold. That golden really represents that God consciousness that exists in us. And so the God will, our light of God, that we all are a piece of God, that we're all that special being. It's like we all have that divine, you know, unconditional love that supports us. But when we get far away from ourselves, when we start to lose us, it's that we step away from there. So the intention that we're stepping is to find our way back to self, to back to who we truly were before when we first arrived, before your condition, before your program. And I can repeat this 1,000 times over and over, but it's when we don't get it. And so in attitude, when it's in inspiration or attitude, so in attitude, when this appears, is that what they're telling us, that your attitude is showing. Basically, even when we think we're hiding something, even when we think oh well, I just let that go years ago, I don't hold on to any resentments, I don't hold on to any anger. Well, even you can tell yourself that 1,000 times, and if you have not actually done the work, then that attitude shows up. I see a lot of really pretty people be very angry. I see a lot of people who are very advanced in anything. I don't care how many degrees you have. I don't care what role you play. Anger seeps out in attitude. Frustration seeps out in attitude. Everything shows its true face when faced with difficult times. I have seen some of the greatest healers show their unhealed self in times of difficult times that we've come through in the past few years. And it's like, oh, I have all the faith in the world. And then I've watched them then turn around when they've done, had to kind of pull themselves back together and then turn around and pretend like it never happened. But it's that is the truth. And I mean, I've dealt with my own frustrations. I've been there. I've been very frustrated over the years, with that sense of my story, not my story, but one of my frustrations in my world was to be, uh, either misunderstood, to be underestimated, to be devalued, those type of things. And it would come out as attitude. It did. And in a sense of humbling and finding humbleness and humility in my own humility, in really looking at my own truth, is that I discovered that I underestimated myself. It's not about we project it out and say everyone else, but who is the everyone else? And that's one of the greatest questions that I ask in my coaching is, well, when people say, well, everybody hates me, everyone judges me, everyone is against me. Well, who's everybody? Tell me who that everybody is. Who's everyone? Well, and the more that you start to kind of become that detective into narrowing down, well, I need details. When you give yourself details, when you go into details instead of justifying and validating, like trying to validate your story, it's like catching all the little white lies, and you start to catch all of your little white lies, and all of your little white lies start to get captured into this little ball, and you start to recognize, oh my god, but we have been programmed to lie. We've been programmed to lie to ourselves. We've been programmed to tell little white lies, just like when we're kids and we're said, now don't tell your mother, or don't tell your father, or don't let them see you're sad. Don't let that happen. Or just pretend you're happy. Just pretend that you like that. Just pretend. Right down to our Christmas stories and our Easter stories and everything else, we are programmed to lie. So then, even when you know a new truth, and then you're told, well, just pretend anyway so that you can keep the peace, or just pretend so that everyone else stays in the story, or pretend just to make me happy. How many mothers did that to kids? Well, just pretend it's real. And if you pretend it's real, then I'm happy because it fulfills what I want to be feel happy about. So you lie and you make me happy, right? And that energy all balled up becomes then our ability to normalize the fact that those little white lies and those little white lies we tell ourselves are just normal, and we can do that to ourselves. And in this new moon, we're setting an intention. I know I did a few years ago, and I've written 5 books based on that honesty, right? Of coming to terms with my own truth. And so to be honest with me, and you can spew it out onto the world as much as you want. You could want the world to be responsible and accountable. You could blame it on every zodiac sign. You can blame it on anything in the world. You can blame it on, you can blame it on the fact that you're just human. But who's the human in your wearing that skin? It's you. And so, we've overextended our, oh, you're just human, or it's just human. And it's like, oh, we all, well, when is accountability coming back in? When are we holding that level of accountability? And so if we normalize it in childhood, and then we normalize it more in teenage years, and then we normalize it in early adulthood in relationships, as we get older, we've normalized it. Now we've normalized it to a point that it actually runs our world. And so that is the things that we're being told to really look at in this unseen moon card, is that we have unhealthy attitude that we have normalized, that has become truth based on little white lies that we started to believe to be true because we're told to tell them, right? And then you're told to believe them. It's like, it might not be true, but believe it, because you have to accept it. You just have to accept that that's going to be. Why do I have to accept it? And I've been that curious child since I was a kid. Why? Just let it be. Just let things go. And I'm like, I don't want to let things go. I want to know why. I want to deal with it. I want to work through it. No. And so that energy, so in your life, that that then becomes frustration. And then you accept that you are even, when you realize it, when you stop and look, you're like, fuck, I'm causing so much of my own pain because I'm accepting instead of rejecting, true things for true that are not true, such as overlooking bad behavior, red flags, all of those things, and we overlook them. And so every one of these cards became like a real stark reminder to me every time one came up on the screen, because they're all based on me. They're all based on my story. They're based on the journey that I know when stepping into soul self, stepping into that oneness. It's not that there was a lot of my own shit that wasn't acceptable. And if I wanted my world to change, if I wanted to be that person that I wanted everyone else to accept, I had to accept her, right? And that means responsibility as well. You're asking the same thing. See, so these messages are good for us, right? And then we have 26. So the right here, right now is the beautiful transformation. And this is Amara. And she's walked through that flames and through that fire. She's walked through the worst. And even though she's up to her knees in water, even though it feels like, this water could get deeper, it could be more. She's not looking down into the water and worrying. She's looking into her future. She knows that there is, she may be in the unknown, but there is a bank. There is a shore. She can get to there. She could go back and she can walk through that again if she got fearful of the water being too deep, or she could just keep going and knowing full well that there is that shores, that there is that line, that there is, but she's holding the world in her hands. And we are the creator of our worlds. So if we're creating our worlds on more of what we're accepting of our little white lies and all of those little things, then we're setting intentions that are not of our truth. So when you're setting an intention for your shadow self, or for that desperate desire or those wants that you think is for you, but you're not really living all of your truth, then what is the point of the intention? How is that? What, that's just piling up more of what we have. And so she's really truly knowing in her blue is that she's looking into the fact that what is going to be of her highest good. And as you can see, her world is not right in her hands. That ball is not of the earth, that globe is not right in her hands. She knows that she has to rise up to catch that, because the universal energy of love and light is not coming down for you. You have to rise up to it. You have to be the change. You have to do the work. It's in your hands. Everything that we make a choice to do has to be in our hands. And when we keep repeating and telling ourselves the same stories, we keep swimming in the swamps. Get out of the fucking swamps. Get out of the garbage. Hi, Madison. And hi, Marlene. Right? And so it's like, that sometimes that fire is actually, that fire is burning away what needs to die, what needs to be let go of. But if you keep going in and taking out stuff that don't need to save, and keep trying to save things that you need to just let go, that fire is never going to go out, because then you're just taking a spark of the old into the new. And I'm going to say this. um I have to send the I feel like I'm being kind of watched in here, and my work is being watched, and my work is somehow being used somewhere else. I don't know how, I don't know. It came to me in a dream that, that somebody even larger than me is, like, larger in my following, is like using some of my work and kind of repeating some of my words. And I'm like, that's okay, as long as we're getting the messages out. And if they are, then yay, they're watching, right? But it's like, it all came to me in a dream, and I don't know what that means yet. But um, it's a little sparkle that I get. It's like, interesting. That means the messages are going somewhere. That means the messages are doing something that they're supposed to be doing. And then we have cosmic beauty, which is Zoran. And Zoran is, she's from that heart and not from the emotion. So when we wear our emotions as our crown, when we wear our stories as our identity, if your emotional self is creating your identity, it will never be of truth. Right. And so that's where we get that, oh, it's like, I'm stubborn, or I'm so strong-willed, and I don't let anybody walk over me, and I don't do this. And or you play the meek and mild. Oh, everybody is like always against me. I'm afraid of the world because people are so dangerous. The world is so dangerous. All of those are fucking stories, and they're emotional stories, and they're the identities that we then create to be able to play victims, to be able to play the heroes, the martyrs, the saviors, the know-it-alls. The All of those are those character roles, that character personalities that we take on, that becomes the personas and the identities. So I always tell, it's like, well, you can see the true truth of a personality in those kids in an early age, when they first learn to walk and say they got a little strut. And I'm like, okay, they've taken that strut many lifetimes, because there's no way that kid should know how to strut. There's no way that child should, be able to be that grown up so soon. The way they sit and cross their legs, and kids observe everything. So kids, when they idolize, they become. And then as adults, sometimes people do the same thing. You mirror and mimic the people that you admire in your life, and you take on their identity. And you notice it often about, even in workplaces, women get the periods the same time. If you have friends, and friends one friend starts to look like the next friend, and then it's like this whole little thing that starts to go on. And it's not, in some most times it's totally an unconscious thing. It's not on purpose, and other times it's like the single white female movie from years ago, when you totally try to steal somebody else's identity. But other times it's out of admiration, and then other times is out of protection. So our true truth, built on emotions, built on that sense of defense mechanism, or that desperate desires, is then we're setting an intention to be somebody we're not. Whereas cosmic beauty, Zoran, is remembering our beauty, remembering our purity, remembering our innocence. And you're not going to remember it if you compare it to stories that you existed in this lifetime. It does. It's just another story. And so that is when you can return to the essence of the soul connection. You can feel it on such a deep level. Speaking to you today, which is good. And so you can feel that on such a deep, deep level. You remember a beauty, and there's no mirror reflection for it. You remember the woman, at the or the man at the end of every experience, and as weak or as afraid as you may have felt, you felt this power inside of you. And you just felt like you didn't know what was next, but you just had this sense of, I know it was still the best thing. It is that return to that sense of that, that feeling in your heart. And so the cosmic beauty into our future self is about returning to, it's like setting our intentions to kind of reset, to go into reset, to be reborn, to re relive deprogrammed, to be letting go of the old ways, the old paradigms, and the old ways that things were done. That's how we used to do it, and so that's how we have to do it again. Or I can't wait till things go back to the way things were. Whenever something traumatic happens, nothing ever returns to the way it was. Trust me. I lived in Slave Lake Journey Fire. You were never the same. Nothing was ever the same. There is no going back. When you go through experiences in your life that are big or traumatic, or you don't go back. And so when people kind of want to like step back into living the little white lie, when you want to step back into that and pretend it didn't happen, or just forget that I just bashed you and called you everything in the world because you were a part of a cluster or group. Just pretend it didn't happen. Now I'm just be nice to each other. Let's just be nice. Right? Because now when it's starting to feel like it's going to the direction and the way that you want it to go, then it's all okay. But when it's falling away and it feels like you're losing control and losing grip, then you lose your shit. And that's going to happen again. So even if you step back into that somewhat of a half-ass or a pretend comfort, this shit will go down again. Something else will let that attitude of the unhealed, of that either inner child, young adult, or that, that perfect little try to keep your life together, that you try to live and try not to exist in the world, but exist in the world. All of that will ultimately show again, and the attitude will be exposed once again. Frustration, anger, criticism, judgment, insecurities, the character roles, that whole playing martyr, victim, uh, um, little me, little innocence, like all of those are all those character roles that are built from the emotional attachment to those little white lies that we continue to tell ourselves, or how we seen things in a previous version but not to be true, right? And so when we allow ourselves to know that there is never a certainty, ever, there is not really a certainty, but we are guided by the light of love. And that love, when you start to realize that that love sometimes comes with a level of hurt, when you got to start letting things go and do that deep-seated healing, to be guided by that light is ultimately built on faith and setting an intention to come into a relationship that you can understand you enough to know that when you're triggered or when it's hurting or when something doesn't feel right, you don't discount it, you don't neglect to see it, you don't try to just step into another role. You allow yourself to say, okay, what do who do I need to be today? What do I need to, what do I need to access within myself? What do I have in this tool bank from previous experiences that I know work that I can use today to be the best version of me? And that's how we start to get really clear on what my true intentions are. So when someone asked me today, what is my truest of intentions, so when I did the healing circle last night, for me, I do one prior to me doing a healing circle with everyone else. It was to live, to really create that sense of a living from a place of a peaceful perspective. When I make peace with all things that have been, with in not making excuses for behaviors. When I make peace, I can still have a voice that still has a peacefulness to it and can still have the power to be something. And finding that I don't have to get angry. I don't have to let those old frustrations. So when I come into a deeper understanding with me, was first I had to lose all personality, all identity, all things that I used to define myself and to set that free. And that's part of the journey of transformation. If you're taking the old you, if you're taking the old you into now and then trying to, you know, make it convince everyone, including yourself, to love it, to accept it, to like it, too fucking bad. I don't care, like it. It's like you're still trying to convince people. So what is it that you're trying to convince people of? And why do you need to convince people? And so all the way around, I still sound like Corrie. I still look like Corrie. I'm still Corrie. I've made peace with things um, like where and how the hate story for, or the dislike story for where my original name even comes from, like the teasing, the torturing, like over littlest things that you've seen through the eyes of a kid that you may have been able to brush off as an adult, but just making peace with where you have been and really letting go of anything that I thought I needed to be. And I don't know what tomorrow brings. And I don't know what your tomorrow brings. And I don't know where I'm going in this life. I don't live seeking and searching for a purpose. I live on purpose. And that's the biggest thing that I can teach people is to live on purpose. You're here to be the best human that you can be. That means in how you treat yourself. And so that is being, put down the swords and, the sharp tongues and soften your words, soften your gaze, get honest, and don't don't make friends with your thoughts. Like don't make friends with your mind and those stories that you create. That what we tell ourselves and what we create and that subconscious is can sometimes be, detrimental. Living from this body and from this heart is truly the truest of truest that you'll ever have. Your heart tells on you. The pain in your body is telling you a truth you don't want to face. The anxiety is telling you something you don't want to listen to. The stomach pain, the heart pain, the hips, the knees, all telling you something you don't want to listen to. And every time people come to me and tell me these things like, I don't know, I just don't know. I hear what you say, but I don't know. I'm like, no, you do know. You don't want to know. And you don't want to do. And when you don't want to know and you don't want to do, sometimes you just got to settle for that's just you're as far as you're going to come. And that's, when you limit yourself, it's your choice. Wherever you stay and whatever you hang on to because of that fear is going to continue to stay. The only way that we live in that so-called hell on earth is that we continue to make the choices that contribute to fanning the flames of the hell on earth. And that becomes our biggest, yeah, the biggest self-sabotage, right? It's those moments. You want to create a heaven on earth? It's not easy, but it's worth it, right? And so I was walking down our steps this morning and I heard that and I start to laugh and I just heard somebody just say to me that statement, that that road was it that road to hell is paved with can't remember how it went, but anyway, I heard it so clear. And then I'm like, that's so it's oh, that road to hell is paved with many good intentions, right? So your goodest of intentions to please and nurture the insecurities and the fears is ultimately you leading that road down to creating your personal hell because those choices that we make is what puts us there. Those choices, those directions that we take ultimately leads us into, oh, but I just thought I'd be good to, I just thought one more time. I just thought I would try that again. Oh, I just thought if I could just do this. Well, stop fucking thinking and stop letting that head based on your emotional previous conditions do that. Look at the facts. Look at the facts of the things that have previously go wrong. Why would you step back in? Why would you? The only reason why is because there is a little bit of a narcissistic tendency in us all to want to prove people wrong, want to be right for once, want to get things our way, want to be something. And so every time we do, look where it leads us, right? And so that road of good intentions is what you have to look at. Are they good intentions? Or are they constantly trying to fill up those intentions to feed the shadows, to feed the monsters within, to continue to be a part of our own self sabotage, our own punishment, our own everything, to keep this putting salt in our own wounds, right? Or to finally be able to prove something to somebody. You got nothing to prove. You you're not going to be the person to save somebody that no one else has ever been able to help and they don't want to be saved. People don't need you to save them. Honor, you can treat people with dignity, but to not to be there to be pulled under the waters and to drown, right? It's like what you allow. And so pay attention to that this week, this tonight, today, through this energy is what are those intentions? And are those intentions paving you into on a direction into creating your personal struggle stories even more, or the desire to be validated, to prove something, to get your way? Or is it the skipping and jumping into the heavenly goodness of our life, into the light, and just saying, I'm willing to face the hard stuff and look at it. And because I want to walk on the soft sand. I want to walk in that beautiful light. I want to walk in the gentleness. I want to be gentle to myself. I want to live with a pure heart, pure intention, and to live clear and be clear with myself on what is truly in alignment to the truth of me. That's our intention. That's the intention of what the oracles, what the cards are telling you, what spirit is speaking of. And if we want to become that, we have to stop walking the other direction and start walking into being, really seriously about looking at our own little fucking white lies and where they are in our lives, where they keep flowing up. And honesty goes a long way. And if you set out on the path of destroying others to create even a bigger of your own personal hell, then man, it doesn't get better. And you can say everyone is banding you and everyone's there for you and no one's there for you. Who's everyone? Who's everyone? When you get clear and you get small, get into chunk that down 1,000 times, you start to find out it's you. It's you. And when you can see you as being that person, then why do you make intentions for the enemy within, for the predator within, for the abuser within, for that has overshadowed our truest of truth? Get back into the light, get back into your truth. And who can remember when I used to sing "This Little Light of Mine," right? "This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine." That's a real truth for me now. I live from that place. I live from that place of creating my heaven on earth means I don't know what tomorrow brings. I don't have nothing to compete with. I don't have any set plans for what my life will look like other than living it, appreciating that I'm 50 and I only have one lifetime as this person, and I'm not going to miss it on hanging in the swamp or swimming around in the garbage or becoming a toxic dumping ground for anything else. Don't be a toxic dumping ground. Be a beautiful field of beautiful flowers and let yourself find that sacred within you and then create it into an even bigger sacred space of love and light within. So much love. Now this one living in her light gotta go get kitty litter and dog food and go get my granddaughter Sadie. So have a beautiful, beautiful day. Enjoy the rest of this new moon energy. I hope this message helped you in some way and it resonates with you. Um, it's a blessing to be here. It's an honor to be able to share this with you. And much, much love. Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Mwah. Talk soon. Bye bye.